Incidentally, were paid over $1 million by CCP-affiliated Chinese company CEFC shortly after Joe Biden left office as vice president. Now we know why, because it was back pay. I'm going to show another image. This is a text message between Hunter Biden and Gong Wendong, an agent of CEFC. Hunter says, "My uncle will be here with his brother," in all caps, "who would like to say hello to the chairman." He goes on, "Jim's brother, if he's coming, wants to say hello." His uncle's brother. I wonder who that could be. I can't quite figure it out. Hunter puts brother in all caps, and it doesn't take a genius to figure this out, but since I'm not always dealing with geniuses, and Washington, D.C. has been illustrated today, I'll spell it out. The brother of Hunter's uncle, Jim, is Joe Biden. Why was Hunter so secretive about his father? I'm going to tell you why. It's because Joe Biden didn't want the American people to know he and his family were getting paid millions and millions of dollars from a company closely tied to the Chinese Communist Party. CEFC knew paying Biden family members was bad, so they covered it up. Hunter knew Joe Biden hanging out with CCP businessmen would be a bad look, so he tried to pull a genius move on us with this whole "my uncle's brother" bullshit. We already know the president took bribes from Burisma. I also want to add, betraying your country is treason. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record this text message between Hunter Biden and Gong Wendong and the FBI memo regarding their interview with Tony Bobolinsky, showing Joe Biden's connections to CFC during his vice presidency.
Without objection to order.
Professor Turley, we got 30 seconds. In your experience in reviewing cases of fraud, do people who are conducting legitimate business usually go through these efforts and hoops to keep their foreign entanglements hidden?
Yes, the issue with influence peddling is that it can, in some circumstances, be legal, but it's not something that necessarily is made public. The public does not buy into the idea that you can sell your family brand if it's influence peddling. So what happens with influence peddling is that you often have the commission of crimes that conceal it. And to take steps so that it's not public. That may include, but it's not necessarily the reason in this case, but it may include the failure to pay taxes, the failure to register as a foreign agent. And part of the purpose of an inquiry is to see if there's a linkage between those acts and, more importantly, a linkage to the president. Can I briefly respond to the earlier attack? You may have additional questions. I don't want to take your time.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, the gentlelady's over time,
Okay.
but we'll work with you on that because
And before I start with my line of questioning, I just want to make two comments. First, to Professor Gerhardt, I love the analogy that you used about the speeding ticket with Hunter Biden. Let me also see if you would agree with this analogy. If a criminal pulls the trigger for a murder, he's guilty, right? And we can prove it. But don't you also agree with me if somebody ordered that hit, we would charge him too? It's interesting that you don't use that analogy. That's number one. Number two. Yeah, because it doesn't fit the narrative is the reason. Number two, I'm amazed at, and I love the fact that Trump lives rent-free in the Democrats' heads every day. That is a beautiful thing, even though we're here talking about the impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden. With that said, I want to talk about the damning evidence of Joe Biden's role in his family's business schemes in Romania. While Joe Biden was president, he was directly involved in the United States policy and anti-corruption efforts in Romania. That's a fact. On May 21st, 2014, the then Vice President Biden delivered an anti-corruption speech in Romania, right? On September 28th, 2015, the president visited with the then Vice President Biden, the Romanian president visited with the then Vice President Biden at the White House to discuss anti-corruption efforts, right? Got a theme of corruption, anti-corruption, right? Gabriel Popovich, a corrupt Romanian oligarch, is the subject of a criminal probe. He's the subject of a criminal probe and prosecution for corruption and bribery in Romania. This committee has reviewed transactions showing that the Biden family received money from a foreign company run by this Russian oligarch, corrupt Gabriel Popovich. 5 weeks after the Romanian president visited with Vice President Biden, Popovich begins paying Hunter Biden and his associates, Rob Walker, through his company, Bladen Enterprises. The money from Bladen Enterprises is deposited directly into Robinson Walker LLC. Now, this LLC is directly operated by Hunter's known business partner, Rob Walker. These are all facts, right, that we found through the investigation. In November 2015 and again in March 2016, Hunter Biden, who is not registered as a foreign agent under FARA, meets with the U.S. ambassador to Romania. Red flag. Then, coincidentally, over $1 million flows to the Bidens.
Passionate and lucid comments here. And I appreciate the fact that you introduced a motion to subpoena Giuliani before I introduced a motion to subpoena Giuliani and Lev Parnas. And Lev Parnas wrote us a long letter saying that all of this is based on a fraud, a tissue of fraud. He went all over the world with Rudy Giuliani looking to find dirt.
Alleging that China money was a fraud?
Are you asking me to yield? Are you asking me to yield? I'm happy to yield for a second. What is your question, Mr. Chairman?
What fraud are you?
Well, I introduced in the record, in case you haven't read it yet, the letter that Lev Parnas wrote to you and to me. In it, he called upon you to call off this wild goose chase.
Because of China money that the Bidens have received?
No, because all of this is based on the Burisma conspiracy.
The China money is based on the Burisma.
Well, I see a lot of China money.
Mr. McCool, someone can yield. That's Dr. Fox from North Carolina for 5 minutes.
Serious business, and I think